Hi, everybody. We're going to have another short, little casual conversation about conversations. And this discussion, we're going to talk about why dialogue tags are literally the worst. Okay, dialogue tags are the little signal phrases we include when we're having a conversation in our text. He said, she said, he laughed, she argued, bitingly. They're the little descriptors that we put to add emphasis on a conversation, and they are literally the worst. Okay? They are absolutely 100% essential to help our audience follow who is saying what and when in our conversations. But when they become the worst is when we start to rely on dialogue tags to do our work for us as writers. Okay? You can never go wrong with a simple he said, she said. We get into trouble when we start using dialogue tags as a description. So, for example, in the two that I presented just a second ago, we'll focus on the phrase bitingly. Mavis looked across the table at her ex-lover and said bitingly, "I hate you." Can you explain to me what bitingly means? I mean, we can infer that Mavis is upset, right? That word biting has a connotation of sharpness, but it's essentially lazy writing, and it's really not telling our audience anything. Instead of relying on dialogue tags like she said bitingly, or he laughed wittingly, or he laughed, or he mumbled, um, or he cried, consider how you can use your words, use your craft, use your prose to add a little bit more description. We should not rely on dialogue to tell our stories and show our emotion. We should use our words to show that emotion. So instead of having Mavis say bitingly, "I hate you," perhaps we can add a little bit more context through our words. So, for example, Mavis looked across the table at her former lover over her cup of scotch. A cup of scotch. She's passed from shot glass to a cup. This is ridiculous. She glared at her lover and said, "I hate you." Without relying on the ly word bitingly, we are able to add a little bit more context and show a little bit more of Mavis's inward struggle with her alcoholism and how it's coming to light, meeting her ex-lover. And we can see that she's projecting that anger at her former lover. Okay, so don't rely on dialogue tags to do your work for you. Anytime you find yourself using an ly description, step back and think, how can I actually show my audience my character's emotion rather than just telling them? Remember, that's our job as writers, is to show, not tell. Now, when we use dialogue tags, it's nothing wrong with keeping everything simple. He said, she said. You can add action words and descriptions, but be sure that you are using your prose and using your talent to show your audience rather than tell them the emotional undercurrent that our characters are experiencing. Again, with everything, nothing is perfect. Drafts are meant to be not super great, and that's okay. The same is true with dialogue. If you find yourself relying on dialogue tags to just get through the writing process, that's totally okay. In revisions, we can go back and be like, all right, instead of saying bitingly, how can we show this emotion? And that's the tip to avoiding dialogue tags. How can you show this emotion? Use your talent, use your words, explain the experience, and have your audience engage with the emotional undertones of the conversation. Don't rely on ly descriptor words. And again, nothing's perfect, and that's okay. So if you find yourself struggling with this, write all those dialogue tags out and we'll address it in revision, right? That's the beauty of writing. It's an ongoing process. If you have any questions at all on how to avoid dialogue tags or how to add that description, let me know. We have some supplemental material in this week's announcements that are kind of giving us some tips and tricks with this, but I'm always here to support you. If you have any questions, let me know. You got this.